Good morning, traders. It is Wednesday, the 10th of December. Boy, we're just rolling right along till the end of the year. Last full trading week, really. Next week, it's going to really start slowing down ahead of the holidays. Although next week is actually a full week, I'm going to be out of here on Thursday, the 18th, and won't return until the 23rd. Going to go up to Chicago for a few days, friends, family, and all that fun kind of stuff. Haven't had a pizza in a while. But I'm going to go ahead and make a note of this, and I'll put it up on all the other places where it goes, so you guys that are new listeners won't think you're missing anything or that something went wrong. But guys, I'll hope that you have a great rest of the year. I'm going to finish out the next few days with some interesting concepts for you. Then, of course, we'll be back to rock and roll on right around the 1st of January. Oh, I can't. It's just flying by. All right. Anyway, here's our thought of the day to get us rolling. It's not enough that we do our best. Sometimes we have to do what's required. And that was from Sir Winston Churchill. And for those of you that have had the unfortunate privilege of being exposed to traditional socialist and Marxist educational processes, you may not even know who this guy is. And that's unfortunate. But he was the Prime Minister of England during the years of World War II. And basically provided the leadership needed to defeat the enemies of England and the United States, which were the Axis powers. Very creative thinker, and in addition to this, said many interesting and famous quotes. We'll probably get to a few of them. But for trading, here's what I liked about this. You know, the last couple of broadcasts, we've been talking about excellence and the nature of what it means to be excellent. To really be getting good at something doesn't mean you're perfect at it, but it means you're taking your thinking, your thoughts, your behavior, your methodology, that what you focus on, what you prioritize. You're putting all of that into a framework that returns better than what you currently brought to the table. That searching for excellence involves many things, and that's good. And we have to do that. And doing our best at something is a requirement for achieving excellence. But what Churchill said here is that sometimes we have to do what's required. In other words, part of excellence is doing things that are common to excellence. And maybe you're not doing those things because, for whatever reason, you don't see the value to them. One of those things that I believe is extremely important to you as a trader and needs to really be part of your everyday effort is record keeping. You need to write down everything you do, everything you think about, everything that you postulate in your mind, every action that you take, every action you don't take for reasons that are there. All of those records are really critical to achieving your highest level of performance because doing your best involves making changes that need to be made. Well, what are those changes? Well, if you study what you're doing, you'll get clues to what changes need to be made. Well, how are you going to study what you're doing if you don't write anything down? You don't look back and reflect on what it is you're doing. In my process today, and I've been trading for, well, actually, it'll be 40 years this spring, 2026. My record keeping went from being non existent to a level of daily performance and methodology that my life would not be the same if I stopped doing it. In other words, I have a journal I journal in daily. I also have a weekly summary journal. I have a trade error log where I record my errors, why they happened, what the thinking was behind them. I have uh, I do written recording of why I came to decisions on certain trades. In other words, what you would call analysis, which isn't really analysis in the same way as you do it. I can promise you that. But I have all of those things written down. And I also write down how I spend my time. I have literally, I'm the only person I've ever seen that has this. And in fact, if you ever get a chance to um, meet me personally at one of my live events, like if I'm a guest speaker somewhere, I will have my record keeping with me. All you'd have to do is ask me, can I see your record keeping? And I'll show it to you. And I think you'll be amazed at the data that I'm collecting on myself every single day and why it's there and what I use it for. That's something I discovered was necessary. It's required. Without it, I'd never have the data I need to go back and figure stuff out and make better choices. See, I'm still learning how to do this business. And that's something that I think will never change. I think one of the fascinating and amazing things about trading is that it's a never ending, never developing process because trading is only a reflection of the person you are on the inside. You don't ever have to stop evolving if you don't want to. If you want to reach your full potential, you may find that reaching your full potential was the fumbling first step to something just beyond what you possibly had thought of before. How are you going to figure that out if you don't adequately and conclusively examine what you're doing now and how you're doing it? I think that's really important for you to consider. So, when we talk about reaching our best potential, like Winston Churchill said, sometimes we got to do what's required. One illustration of that is your record keeping. Give some thought to that. But what are the other things that are required to really reach your full potential? What are those things? Give some thought to what those things are, and then put plans in place to include them every day. Don't ignore them, the things that might be required, because they're required to reach excellence. They're not required to get through your day. And that's, I think, part of the reason why most people, including traders, are average, apathetic, and indifferent when they get to the end of their days and their life and everything that they have spent time on, is because they could have done that extra something that's required for the excellence that they were looking for, but they just didn't know it or didn't find it or didn't believe it was necessary. And so it was never done, you know? It's like trying to build a house without reading the blueprint. You really can't do it. I mean, you could try. Probably isn't going to look real well, but in any case. So, guys, I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you tomorrow on Thursday the 11th. In between now and then, keep those cards and letters coming. Thank you for you new listeners. I hope you enjoy the content, and feel free to give me insights as to how I might be able to improve what you're hearing. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.